Correctly, if I'm not, my full apology. She is a Boston police sergeant. She led a group of people. There were 5 women, 1 girl. So basically 5 women, 1 girl. They went to a Regina pizzeria on Boylston Street. They walked in. This was yesterday, Martin Luther King Day, of all days. Think of the irony. Of all days. They walked in, they ordered several pizzas, they ordered 6 bottles of water. The worker did not ask them for their vaccine passports. So they paid. And then they were sitting down and they were waiting to get their pizzas. They were drinking their water. The store manager comes in and says, "Where are your vaccine passports?" In other words, "Where are your papers?" When they said they're not going to show him any papers, this is America, we don't show papers in this country, to sit down and have a pizza and some water. Who are they hurting? What laws are they breaking? They ordered water and pizza. That's it. That's it. Minding their own business. It's freezing cold outside. They wanted to have something to eat. For the crime of wanting something to eat and to sit down in the establishment and eat the pizza and the water and drink the water that they bought from that Regina pizzeria. The store manager, that wannabe goose stepper, I swear to you, God is my witness, calls the Boston Police Department. And not 1, not 2, but 3 fully armed police officers, by the way, all 3 of them male, come into the Regina pizzeria and demand that Sergeant Shana Cottone and the other women and the girl leave. That, as one of them put it, this is a private establishment. If they don't want to serve you here, if they don't want you to sit down and eat a meal here, that's their right because of the vaccine passport and the vaccine mandate from the mayor. So the 3 heavily armed police officers are literally supporting segregation and apartheid, discrimination, persecution, harassment of the unvaccinated. It's unbelievable. And they stood there in a menacing way, trying to slowly intimidate them. Now, to Shana or Sergeant Shana Cottone's credit, she didn't back down an inch. It was incredible. They were live streaming it on Facebook. Many of the women that were with her were filming it, videotaping it with their cell phones. And she asked every single one of the officers involved, "I want your name and badge number." Now, I want you to think about this, okay? Just stand back objectively. Shana Cottone is a hero. I mean, literally, she's a hero. At the Boston Marathon bombing, she rushed to the scene and, quote unquote, stole a van. In other words, I have a family here. There's blood everywhere. They're going to die. I need to take them to the hospital now. Can I have your car? And the person said, "Please go ahead. Just take it, take it, take it." She drove that family to the hospital and literally saved their lives. Couple years later, she went into a massive fire that engulfed a 3-story building. She crawled on her stomach with the fire and the fumes and the smoke and literally rescued people out of that burning building. Not only is she a hero, she went to Fenway Park during a Red Sox game and they publicly celebrated her as a hero, as one of our finest. Well, like many of the nurses, many of the doctors, many of the healthcare professionals, she's now gone from hero to zero. Why? Because she's part of an organization and the Boston First Responders a group that I completely support, by the way, that says we will not take an experimental gene therapy. We will not allow the government to force us, to coerce us, to put something into our body that is A, experimental, B, for some has adverse side effects, C, we don't want. My body, my choice. Period. Full stop. It's that simple. And so for this hero has now been temporarily suspended. They took her badge and her gun away. Apparently this happened, over a week ago. And now she may face losing her job and her career completely. Well, there she was, eating at Regina's Pizzeria, confronted by the police officers, and she told every single one of them to their face, here you are, 3 armed cops, male cops, big cops, beefy, broad-shouldered, big, strong guys. And you're harassing and trying to intimidate 6 women, 5 women and a girl, 6 females. What was our crime? What was our crime? Eating pizza? Having a bottle of water? One of the officers then says to her, hey, look, you can have the pizza, but you got to eat it outside. You can't eat it in here. So we can stand inside. We can wait for the pizza, but then we can't eat it inside the Regina Pizzeria, inside the establishment. And as she rightly put it, it's freezing cold outside. What are we, animals? We have to eat it where? On the sidewalk in the freezing cold? And as she told the 3 cops, you've got shootings, you've got murders, you've got crime, you've got drugs, you've got overdoses, there are so many serious issues affecting the city of Boston. In fact, there's a massive crime surge. And what are 3 fully armed cops doing? You're spending an hour in the pizzeria trying to kick out 6 females for the crime of eating a pizza and having some water. She completely humiliated him. All of this was being broadcast on Facebook. It went everywhere. She stood her ground. When I say she didn't give an inch, she didn't give an inch. And then she looked at the camera with the cops watching, and she openly said to everybody, do not comply. If we just follow Martin Luther King Jr.'s example, and we do not comply, we can break this regime, this medical apartheid, medical persecution, medical segregation regime. She's fully healthy. All of the women there are fully healthy. They don't pose a threat to anyone. And now we're going to allow the city of Boston to reduce law-abiding, decent people. In fact, if we're talking about Shana Cottone, literally a hero, a sergeant in the police force, or at least she was a sergeant in the police force. You're not going to serve her? On all days, Martin Luther King Day? We don't serve your kind here? We don't serve the so-called unvaxxed? We don't serve the purebloods here? That's how it is in the city of Boston? And to add insult to injury, Michelle Wu, and she's a fascist thug. She is a fascist communist thug. Make no mistake about it. She openly promised that she would not use the police to enforce the vaccine passports. And yet here we have it on tape. The police, at the behest of that goose stepper, the store manager, using them to try to harass and intimidate them and kick them out. And the only reason why they didn't kick him out was because she stood up to them and they were being filmed the entire time. And she said, you know what Michelle Wu said. She said the police would not be used. And you're allowing yourselves to be used now in this corrupt way? Why? So we can't finish our pizza and drink water inside a pizzeria? Because we're not going to be properly serviced? Because what? We're third-class citizens? And the police officers, some of them look...
I know you're shamed because you can't even look me in the eye. You're shamed. You should be shamed because what you're doing is wrong. Mayor Wu said the police are not going to get involved in enforcing the vax passports. But there's three of you standing here and saying, it's not, we're just doing our jobs, but you're not doing your jobs, so that's lie number one. And number two is Mayor Wu said the police wouldn't be involved, so that's lie number two. Okay? And you know that you're doing the wrong thing. There's shame attached with that. You should feel shame. So at least I know that you are feeling something. That's a good start.
To me, the scary thing is you had officers defending Michelle Wu. Well, she's the one. She's the mayor. If she wants to impose one of them. Argonis was his last name. Anyway, he's going on. If she wants to impose a mandate, she has every right to do that. And I'm thinking, oh my God. You're now going to defend a pro-Black Lives Matter, pro-Antifa mayor? A rabidly anti-cop mayor? Now, all I'm just saying is this. It's up to the police. I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. But I'm telling you, if you continue to enforce this discriminatory, anti-freedom, anti-American, illegal and unconstitutional vaccine passport, you are going to lose support, massive support among your base. I'm just telling all the police out there, you're making a big mistake enforcing this mandate. You're making a big mistake enforcing these vaccine passports. In fact, listen now to the three police officers confront and hassle Shana Cottone at the North End Pizza Place. This is Regina's Pizza on Boylston Street. Roll cut 20, Alex.
The manager of the establishment said you guys won't show your vaccination cards?
That's correct. We don't show papers.
Okay. Well, guess what? It's a private establishment. That's what they want. They want to see it.
Yeah.
It's mandated by the city, and if you guys don't want to show that, you guys can't sit down. You can do takeout.
No, you need to leave.
No.
Yes.
No. Listen.
We've already, listen.
Excuse me?
Police are not enforcing.
What's my cap? What do you mean my captain?
Listen to me. You better watch what you're doing. You better watch what you're doing because you are walking a very thin line right now.
Thank you for letting me know that. I appreciate
The police
it.
are not to be enforcing this mandate, okay?
This is a private establishment.
Yeah, and you see this? This is something that I've purchased here, okay?
Okay, well, guess what?
Yeah, guess what?
You won't give them your vaccination card?
That's right, I will not show any papers. Now, you can take yourself and you can leave, because Mayor Wu said...
That's funny. I will leave once you leave. That'll be a great idea. Let's do it.
Now, he's saying, I won't leave until you leave. Why? Why does she have to leave? Why? I mean, literally, look at his argument now. Look how we've gone 360. We've gone all on Martin Luther King Day. We've gone 360 right back to what he protested against. Right back. This is a private establishment, and if they don't want to serve you, there's the door. What? So they can't eat pizza? It's like what? You can't eat at the lunch counter? You can't eat inside the restaurant? Like in the Old South under segregation? We don't serve your kind here. Get your you-know-what ass out the door. That's it. That's what they were telling these people. That's what the vaccine passport is. That's literally what it is. Now, it was magnificent how she stood up to them. And she said, look, be careful. Be careful, because you could land in real hot water, because they wanted to arrest her. They were itching to arrest her. And all six of them, they were itching to throw them out on the sidewalk. Now, she makes another very, very good point. Listen now to this. Roll cut 20B, Alex.
They're going to kick you out, have someone buy you a meal, and you pick it up and you eat it in that establishment. Okay? Don't comply. You're not a second-class citizen. You don't sit outside like an animal. And even animals shouldn't be outside in this weather. Was it 5 degrees out?
Yeah, with the wind chill factor of negative 14 degrees.
We don't even do that to animals.
Right.
But Mayor Wu's telling us we can't be inside to eat a meal.
Yeah, this is all thanks to Mayor Wu. And any politician and any official that is down with this tyranny and discrimination is complicit.
Now, and this is going to grow. They're going to be very hard line in enforcing the vaccine passports, and you're going to see more civil disobedience, and that's exactly what we need. But I want you to understand this, all of you. If you go into the city of Boston and you don't show your papers, you do not give them a CDC vaccine card, or what is it, an image of it on your phone. In other words, you don't show proof of vaccination, you will not be served. You will not be served. You are not allowed inside restaurants. You're not allowed inside bars, gyms, theaters, sporting venues. You're out. They're going to kick you out on the street like a dog. Now, the irony is, if you're a celebrity, I swear, if you're a singer, if you're a rock star, if you're an athlete or whatever, it's okay if you're unvaccinated. Then you don't have to show any papers. But if you're a law-abiding, hard-working, tax-paying citizen, blank you. Now, on top of all of this, so not only is it the hypocrisy of all of this, the complete fraudulence of all of this. Well, is this a pandemic or is it not a pandemic? Are people going to start dropping like flies if the unvaccinated have a pizza at Regina Pizzeria? Well, I assume if you're a rock star or a professional athlete or a singer or whatever, it's okay. Then they can go to Regina's Pizzeria. That's okay, according to Michelle Wu. Because the connected, the donors, the beautiful people, you see, rules for thee, but not for me. Now, very quick. Listen now to this. That scumbag manager, okay, Mr. Vax Passport manager, the mandate manager, the goose stepper, he lies. He tells the police that Shana Cottone and her friends did not pay for the water. Hence, they're thieves. That's what he's alleging. That's why he wants them arrested and kicked out. There's only one problem. They have it all on video. That they bought the pizzas, they bought the water, they bought everything, they paid. She even put several bucks in the tip jar. Forget stealing. She tipped them. But the manager lies. And the police are willing to accept his lie and put it in a report in order to kick these women out. Listen to this, baby. Roll cut 20C, Alex.
They know I paid for that water. And that's such a juvenile thing, right? Like, she didn't pay for that. Like, that's how much he hates what we're doing right now. He hates we're standing up for our rights, or he's making lies up because he can't overcome the truth.
Right, yeah.
He's making lies up. But the truth will come out. And again,
Truth always comes out.
The security video is missing from... So they got cameras all in here.
They
The security
said that
missing?
It's on one of the lives that you put the money in.
Oh, good. Oh, word. It's on a live.
It's on live. Look at the footage. Shows me putting the money in.
So people saw it.
Sergeant Wright, we'll send it to you, Sergeant Wright, of me putting the money in. It's okay. I don't need to identify myself for us to show you the evidence, okay? We'll get it for you. We'll do your job for you, Sergeant Wright, okay? Good enough?
I mean, she's tough. She's gutsy. She's brave. She stood up to him. All of them that were there, really, I tip my hat off to all of them. They had everything on video. And you know what I think was most effective? She never lost her cool. She didn't yell. She didn't scream. She didn't misbehave. She didn't call them names. She wasn't yelling at him or insulting him. That's what made him even worse. It made him look even worse. It really made him look like a bunch of thugs. She completely undressed them. She did. Now, listen to this, because I think she makes a brilliant argument. So she's confronting the cops now. Listen to this. Roll cut 20E, Alex.
You're wasting the taxpayer dollars. You're doing exactly what Mayor Wu said wouldn't happen, right? And it's a non-issue. There's no crime being committed. Therefore, you shouldn't be here anymore. That's what the rules and regulations say, sir. If there's no crime being committed, you're wasting taxpayer dollars by staying in here. It does.
They finished their pizza. They drank their water. It took about an hour in total, and then they left. They did not comply. And Shana Cottone, in the video, urges every single Bostonian, every single person in Massachusetts, every American in every city, in every state, simply do not comply. That's how you break the back of vaccine passports, medical segregation, and medical discrimination. And my question to you is this. Do you stand with Shana Cottone? Do you believe she did the right thing? And the cops, were they right to show up and try to kick her out? She'll be on next. .918 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, and now joining us is the woman of the hour, Sergeant Shana Cottone. Shana, it is great to have you on the Kuhner Report. And I got to ask you, after yesterday's incident, how are you?
Hey, good morning, Jeff. So, yes, that was on Saturday after the march we did, which drew 1,500 families and first responders and voters in Boston. And I am recuperating because I'm very tired. So thank you for asking.
Shana, I got to say, I got to say this, Shana. You got a lot of guts. You are really brave, how you stood up to him. I am rarely impressed with people, but I got to tell you, you really impressed my socks off. And so did you deliberately want to go into that Regina pizzeria to make a statement? Or, because apparently Sandy says you were just there to get takeout, but they then told you to wait outside in the freezing cold, and Saturday was very cold. And you just said, you know what, the hell with it, we're going to eat here.
No, we wanted to eat pizza like anyone wants to eat pizza. I'm particularly fond of Regina's. They are still, in my opinion, the best pizza in the city. I could have a debate on that at another time. But I think the video speaks for itself. You know, those officers in the video, you know, those are good cops, you know, and mistakes happen. It's the leadership in the video you see that's failed. And, you know, I take umbrage with that as a sergeant myself. It's our jobs to insulate and protect the officers and guide them, especially in these uncertain times, you know, where Michelle Wu is thrusting these mandates that have no legal basis. They're not constitutionally sound. And, of course, officers are going to be confused as to what they can and can't do. And that's where really good supervision comes in. And that's top-down supervision, Jeff, you know, that comes from the top of the top, meaning Mayor Wu to headquarters on down. And you saw on display there, and it's unfortunate because Mayor Wu said the police weren't going to be involved in enforcing this. So we didn't expect that to happen at all. We didn't expect the police to come, okay? So that's just how it went. And I'm not techie, you know, as a cop, they told, don't have Facebook, don't have Instagram, don't have any of that stuff. So they were live streaming all that stuff. And thankfully, because, you know, it could be used as a teaching moment.
Well, it's gone viral. I mean, Sergeant Cottone, I got to tell you, it's everywhere. It's national. It's international. Look, no, really, a lot of people, and I'm choosing my words very carefully, are now calling you the Rosa Parks of this opposition to vaccine passports. I think you've really started something. And Sergeant Cottone, I've got to ask you this just to clarify the facts. So you went into that Regina pizzeria. You wanted you and your friends, 5 women, 1 girl, to have some pizza, drink some water, sit down at the establishment, simply eat your pizza, mind your own business, and go home, correct?
That's exactly correct, yes.
And then, so you bought your pizza. Apparently the worker there didn't mind or didn't ask you for your vaccine card. But then the store manager gets involved. And did he confront you? Did he ask you for your vaccine passport?
Yes, he did. As soon as we walked in, I asked to buy a bottle of water, and he went right to it. And, you know, this is what happens when you have a mayor who sets the tone that violating people's rights is going to be the new normal, and people take it. I'm not saying that store manager is a bad person, right? But I blame the mayor for this. Everything in that video, this is not normal, right? Normally you go into a restaurant and you sit down and you eat. Normally the manager helps you, get the food. Normally the police, are nice and, don't have a supervisor that violates your rights. This is all abnormal what we're seeing. And it's all because of what policy Mayor Wu's putting in place and the lies that she's propagating. She said she wasn't going to take jobs away from cops, that testing could be kept in place. She lied about that. Then she said that the police wouldn't be involved in these interactions. She's lying about that. Like, the lies just don't stop, Jeff. And then here's the kicker that for me on the law enforcement side, I said this could be seen as a learning moment. Larry Calderon of the Boston Police Patrolmen's Association takes what took place in that video, and instead of putting out situations, because this is going to happen and continue to happen, I'm not the type who's going to ever put a complaint on a cop or sue a cop, unless something very drastic happens. Of course, I do have rights, but instead of doing that, Larry takes it as a moment to write an email to give guidance on how to handle me as an individual, to stay away from me, to, instead of giving guidance on, hey guys, this is how you follow the law. Here's how you, enforce this illegal mandate. Here's how you don't get sued. He's failing again and again and again. And the only thing I can say to the men and women of the BPPA is, look at who's leading you. He's going to get you in court where you're sued civilly because they're getting rid of qualified immunity, Jeff. You know that. And if these cops end up in these situations where they're violating people's civil and constitutional rights, who's going to be the one that's paying these lawsuits out? The cops are, personally, because Michelle Wu is against qualified.
Oh, you're right. Michelle Wu wants to get rid of qualified immunity. And it's these poor police officers. They're going to be paying for this. They're going to be paying through the nose. No, I want to read this. This is a stunning, absolutely stunning email that he sent out. This is the leader of the union, Larry Calderon. So now he basically, I don't want to mention any names, he basically admits he's under political pressure. He admits it. And then he goes on to say of the email?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Sandy can send it to you. Oh, it's incredible. You got to read this. Let us remind you that I've reached out to the super, relayed the anxiety and concern of our members, and asked for clear guidance on how these interactions, meaning dealing with you, should be handled in the future. And he says, this is the latest advice until we receive further written protocol from the city, i.e. the mayor, or the police department. How much time do we have left, Alex? Okay, I don't want to rush it. Sergeant Cottone, can you hang on for one more segment?
Sure.
Okay, we're going to continue to talk with Sergeant Cottone, and then I want to take all of your calls. Vaccine passports are now implemented in the city of Boston. The first resistance is beginning. Do you side with Sergeant Cottone or Mayor Wu? Your calls and the sergeant next. 9:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Okay, we've got Sergeant Shana Cottone on. Sergeant Cottone. So they've literally now, they're in such a panic that the head of the union, Larry Calderon, after what happened over the weekend, sent out this email to all members. So he admits, I don't want to give out any names, that he's under political pressure. He admits it. He actually names some of the people he's spoken to. And then he says that the advice that he's giving, quote, is the latest advice until we receive further written protocol from the city, i.e. the mayor or the department. Quote, please remind all officers not to reply to her emails, meaning you. This is about how the entire police department is supposed to interact with you and only you. Not to reply to her emails or engage in anything written, whether email, social media, text. So basically you're a pariah. If they are confronted by her at any point during work hours, they should turn on their cameras and notify the PS, I assume that's the police superintendent, immediately.
Supervisor, but yeah.
The supervisor, sorry. Rules and regulations must be followed for our own members' security. Our members must protect themselves at all points of contact, and it goes on and on. In other words, they're going to ostracize you. They're going to marginalize you. They're going to try to turn you into a pariah because you're the only one that has the guts to stand up to this illegal, unconstitutional, and frankly segregationist vaccine passport mandate. This is medical apartheid and segregation. And because you're not complying, they basically now have put a target on your back. What say you?
Well, Jeff, I mean, Larry should be looking out for what's going to happen again. Like I said to you, I'm not going to be the one suing any cops. Okay, it's going to be the general public who have, first of all, the right to do that when their constitutional and civil rights are violated. That's who Larry should be guiding the patrol force to interact with. But he's not doing that because he doesn't have the answers, because he doesn't have leadership qualities. Larry looks out for Larry's interests, and that's been the case since day one. The unions haven't, Larry hasn't acted in the best interest of his union. He hasn't fought for the union, and in this issue, right? The issue has always been about testing and keeping the city safe and testing. The patrol force wants testing, and Larry has failed to get that back on paper. It was on paper with the city, and Mayor Wu, tore that up and threw it in the trash and threw the cops in the trash with that. So this is just, I'm not surprised Larry doing this instead of guiding his officers to keep them safe and make sure they follow the law. But why isn't Larry asking the city council to hold a vote, right? To hold a hearing and hold a vote. If this is all under the auspices of, an emergency, which is proving as each day goes by, is proving less and less true. It's, if Mayor Wood can move the date, right, by a week from the 15th to the 24th, where's the emergency? That's rather arbitrary. So why aren't they holding a vote? Where is the city council? Where is Flynn? Where are these guys? Why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they putting their names behind this authoritarian policy? Why aren't they putting their names behind the mandates? If it's a good, sound policy, why aren't they putting their name on it? Instead, they're letting good cops, good firemen, and good city workers. This is, how how many teachers are going to potentially lose their jobs? And this is like the dirty secret they're not talking about, Jeff. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Based on my Zoom call last night, there's about 600 Boston public school teachers and support staff that are going to lose their jobs on Saturday. That's wrong. Those kids need those teachers. This isn't just about first responders. It's about the entire city. And, people like Larry and other union leaders in the city need to step up their game and start pushing back on the mayor, because the science does not support what's going on here. And it's not about one individual. This is about us as a community. And actually, you know, if the mayor wants to have this nonsensical "be together" phrase, well, you know, yeah, let's be together. This is hurting everyone. This policy. This is a woman-made crisis that she is putting on, doubling down on top of a COVID crisis. And it's like, when does the madness end? This is an exercise in insanity. You know, because we're doing the same thing over and over again. It's not working. We need to change it up. And that begins with good leadership. This city has a crisis of leadership right now, and we have to do something or we're in trouble as a city.
Oh, I couldn't have said it better myself. Look, Sergeant Cottone, you're not going to say it, which is fine. I'm going to say it. Our mayor, the mayor of Boston, is the Boston version of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She is part of the radical left. She is anti-American. She's anti-police. She's pro-Black Lives Matter. And this is what I don't understand, Sergeant Cottone. Why would police officers align themselves with a mayor that wants to end qualified immunity, that has declared war on the police, that wants to defund the police, and that openly sides with terrorist organizations like BLM and Antifa? Why would they side with someone like her against you, who's just standing up for everyone's basic rights and freedoms?
Well, Jeff, I just want to end with this. And I think you're going to know what I mean when I say this. There's a difference between the police and cops, okay? Larry might be the police, but he is certainly not a cop, and he does not represent the working men and women of the BPD who are cops. And those are the people that care for our community, are out there doing the right thing. Those cops you saw in that video, I know that they're good cops. I know that. They're young, motivated, good cops. They called for a supervisor to come down there because they needed some guidance, and they were failed. It's not their fault. What you saw in there, those are good officers, okay? You saw a failure in leadership, and I want to be very clear with that. And something needs to be done to make sure that cops don't lose their jobs from, number one, from not taking an experimental vaccine that doesn't stop transmission, right? If they don't take that, they shouldn't lose their job. But number two, if they lose their job because they're violating civil and constitutional rights, that's a much bigger issue. That lands people in prison. And I don't even think we need to go down that road, because you see where that can lead. We need to protect and prevent that. And it all comes down to leadership. The video speaks for itself. So
I know you got to go, Sergeant Shana Cottone. I want to ask you this. You know how big this show is? You know how many people listen to it?
I do. I love your show.
Oh, thank you. In the greater Boston area, Massachusetts, across the country. I want to give you a minute. What do you want the people of Boston, Massachusetts, and America to know? What is your message?
Well, my message is really simple. Every single person is their own leader, and you don't need to elect somebody for them to tell you what to do, what's the right thing to do, how to take care of yourself or your family. You know that in your soul and your heart. You've made it this far on the planet, where each one of us has the power to do things and to make change. And this crisis has really, for me anyway, brought that fact out. And I've seen it to be true. All these amazing men and women that I've met throughout this journey of the last 8 months for me, as I've started BFRU, which is our group, Boston First Responders United. I've seen so many self-selected leaders that are so diverse from every background, every religion, gender, sexual orientation, you name it, occupation. And to see the leadership in all of these people, I've seen what real leaders are. And they're not the people that are selected by a ballot. They are the men and women who live. They are neighbors. They are the people that work in the shops. They are all these people. They are you, Jeff. They are the unassuming people. They're not the people in the suits up at City Hall. So I want to remind everyone, we change this and we stop it when we say it stops, and that is when we stand up and we say no more. Each one of us is a leader. That's the message. It's very simple. No one is any more of a leader than anyone else, but it's when you choose to start speaking and putting your feet on the street and making yourself be seen and heard, that's when stuff happens. So that's all I got for you.
Sergeant Cottone, I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, thank you. You are a leader. And you know me, I only have eyes for my wife, Shana. but I love you in a non-sexual way. I got to tell you, your guts, your courage, your bravery, your tenacity, you really are. You're a modern day hero. If there's anything I can do for you, I mean this, you let me know. If they give you a hard time, if they try to persecute you, harass you, you let me know. I'll put you on this show, give you a platform, because I stand behind you, and I'm sure most of my audience, we're behind you all the way.
Well, thanks, Jeff. And it was really nice to talk to you. I'm glad you're back on the air. And
stay strong. Stay strong. And God bless you. Take care. We've been talking with Sergeant Shana Cottone. I'm telling you, she's now being identified and called the Rosa Parks, at least here in Boston, of opposition to these illegal, unconstitutional, and authoritarian, frankly discriminatory, nakedly discriminatory vaccine passport and vaccine mandates. So anyway, look, they're targeting her. They're going after her. They're going to try to destroy this poor woman. She's right. If we all say we will not submit and comply, we can break the back of Michelle Wu's vaccine passport and take our freedoms back. Your reaction next. .48 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868. Okay, two very quick emails, and then I want to go right to the blazing phone lines. Jeff, a few years ago, do you recall that incident where a couple of black men sat in a Starbucks, brought in their own water, and the manager attempted to throw them out? The backlash that caused? Question mark. But a private establishment wanted to throw them out. Pathetic. See, notice, then the cops didn't show up. Then it's not, it's a private establishment, and if they don't want to serve you, they don't have to serve you. Notice the hypocrisy here. Okay? But anyway, let that one go. One more, and it's an absolutely brilliant point. Absolutely brilliant. It's from Grace in New Hampshire. Jeff, listening to your program and the confrontation with the 6 females and the 3 Boston fellow cops, one of the cops said, quote, Regina Pizzeria is a private business and can refuse to serve or sell to any customer, unquote. Funny thing, how come that baker and florist were not allowed to say no to their customers? Remember on the same-sex weddings and the same-sex cakes? And they were, quote-unquote, private businesses. If people don't start to rebel with the takeover of our country by the Biden presidency, and we all know this is Obama's 3rd term, then we will no longer have our free USA, but one controlled by the Muslim radical Dems. So you see, if you're a baker or a florist, then no, you're not a private business and you can't refuse service. But now, if you want to discriminate and persecute against those who are unvaccinated, hey, you call in the police. 617-266-6868. This is Michelle Wu's Boston. This is Biden's America. And it's time we said no more. Agree, disagree. 617-266-6868. David in Brookline. Thanks for holding, David, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi.
And I want to say that I've been listening to you for a very long time, and that was one of the best guests I've ever heard on your show, and I consider her a hero. And I know this sounds petty, or not petty, but if I got her address or email, I would take her to dinner if she'd like to go, and her friends. That's a side note, because that's how strongly I feel. And number 2, you notice how every time that the liberals have a saying or some cliche, be together, quote unquote, it's always the opposite of what they're really doing. Build back better. It's build back worse. And, be together. No, you're destroying small business. You're making everyone's lives miserable for no reason. And the real reason I called is to share an experience over the weekend at a restaurant in Boston. I was there, and I just was saying to myself, where am I? This cannot be happening. I heard a patron berating a waiter, and I spoke to him, and I said, what was she screaming at you about? Because it was fairly noisy in the restaurant. He said, because I didn't ask her for her vaccine passport. And I said, what did you say to her? And again, I consider him a hero because he did this at the risk of his own job. He said, I'm not interested in seeing your vaccine passport. And I mean,
David, sorry, I just want to make sure I get this. So this was a customer berating the waiter or the server.
Yeah,
saying,
it was.
Why didn't you ask me for my Vax card? As if like she's this liberal, like you should have asked me. How dare you not ask me?
I don't like to judge books by their cover, but Jeff, you could see she was a whole. I don't want to say she was quite a holdover from the '60s, but she had that look. I'm trying. I want to be nice. I mean, she had that look, and she was with. I don't want to say anything else. But
you could tell she's a Bernie voter. She's an Elizabeth Warren voter. You can see that.
Right. And
she reeks of it.
I want to just say this. I don't want to take too much time. And I'm sure you're the same way. I love this restaurant. It's one of the remaining few family restaurants. It's great. I'm sure Sandy knows the restaurant well. And it's just not the kind of place that type of thing happens. So I'm saying, where am I? And I know for a fact that they are losing business because one of the people running the place did have to ask people, and the people said, no, I'm sorry, and they turned them away at the door. But in this case, this waiter, he took it upon himself she was berating him, and she really was. She yelled at him for not asking, and he said, I'm not interested. Now, who knows what she did? She probably called the city, but I said, specifically, he said, I'm not interested in seeing your vaccine information.
Good for him. David, great story. Great story. Thank you very much for that call. You see, everybody is engaging, not everybody, but many people are engaging in non-compliance, in not submitting, in civil disobedience in their own way, like this waiter or this server. Like, no, I'm just not going to ask. That's it. I'm just not going to ask, period. It's not Nazi Germany. I'm not going to ask you for your papers. I'm sorry, no. Mark in Woburn. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Yeah, hi, Jeff. Sergeant Cottone, I hope I said her name right. I was just thinking, it was really nice to hear someone like that. God, just want to say God bless her, and that people listening would hold her up in their prayers. And maybe we get a vet rally going for her and just back her up, support her more, And that's basically just what I just want to throw out.
Well, Mark, I got to tell you, I like that idea a lot of holding a rally for her, because they're going to come after her now. You know how they went after Rosa Parks? And it's the same thing. They're going to go after her. They're going to unleash everything on this poor woman. For what? For standing up for our liberties and rights and freedoms. To eat at a restaurant, to go to a pizzeria, have a pizza, a bottle of water, and be left alone. That's it. That's what she's asking for. So, Mark, I'm with you all the way. Mark, thank you very much for that call. The lines are jammed. Ugh. You know what I'm going to do? I want to return to this topic tomorrow. So a lot more to come tomorrow, I promise. How much time left, Alex? Well, there's the music. That tells me everything I need to know. Okay. Phenomenal show. The callers, you are outstanding. Sandy, Alex, great job. I gotta go. Bye-bye.